Good morning. Welcome to Show Studios Head to Head with me, Mimma Vigleziou, and Colin McDowell.
Hello, good morning.
So, Colin, we're back from Milan.
We are.
And we just witnessed a quite strange Milan season where people were expecting things that didn't happen and were not expecting things that happened. And to clarify, just let me introduce it and then, because we're not sure that people understand, but to clarify, so there's a new designer at Pucci that we're going to start our discussion with, Massimo Giorgetti, and a new designer at Cavalli, Peter Dundas, and we were expecting marvelous things that personally I think didn't happen.
Can I start by saying, I've been quite surprised that several people, and one headline I saw is, "Oh, Milan is back." Well, Milan's a major fashion city. It never went away.
It never went away.
You know, there were one or two times when people didn't sort of live up to expectation, but you could never say that a city that has something like Miuccia Prada has gone away. You know, I thought it was ludicrous.
But this time, I couldn't agree more. But even Mr. Armani, maybe we're not that into his creativity, but he created an empire that has a meaning commercially in the fashion industry. Or Donatella, who presented probably one of her best collections in recent years. But no, I don't let you. We have to start from Emilio Pucci.
Okay, Emilio Pucci.
So
it's a great heritage, Emilio Pucci, and he, Count Pucci, did marvellous things, but there wasn't, when you look back on them, there wasn't really any design. It was a period when a sarong would do and things like that. You know,
the print,
and Capri,
the colours,
pants and all of that sort of stuff. And it was all to do with his brilliant
Pajama Palazzo, right?
That's right, and all his lovely way of doing quite complex patterns. And that's gone. People, A, don't understand that very well now, and B, I don't think it's quite what is required. So whoever takes over the Pucci mantle, and there have been some rather good people who've never made it. It's a sort of killer label. Something goes wrong with it.
Christian Lacroix for 2 or 3 seasons.
He would have been. You would have thought he would have been perfect.
You didn't like it?
Well, I liked what he did, but then suddenly he wasn't there anymore, so he didn't.
Probably didn't sell.
Didn't sell. I think that. I don't believe that this new wine in old bottles technique that fashion has works very often. You have to be an exceedingly sensitive and intelligent designer to be able to take the attitudes and atmosphere of one person's thinking and modernize it to your way of thinking while still keeping the DNA.
But you know, let me tell you, when I read that Massimo Giorgetti was taking over at Pucci, I thought, oh, that's a good idea. He is young and fresh and little known outside of us, people that work in fashion. He has a certain take, you know, about Italian fashion that could work. He probably would be respectful of the the Pucci legacy. And then I saw this show, and it's so dishonest in a way that he's trying to be in between Christopher Kane and Alessandro Michele. So instead of thinking about Pucci, and as you say, bringing it out of an old bottle and making it refreshed and renewed, he's trying to be too closely inspired to the big designers who are making it today. So I was so disappointed.
Well, obviously he couldn't copy Pucci because that's a very old-fashioned way of looking closer. And really, if you're young and you see how the press is moving towards certain people, such as Christopher Kane, who is the wonder boy at the moment, I think we can agree, you're going to try to capture what he has. And you know, these things are very personal. No one ever does a pastiche which works.
So you're saying it's inevitable? Is that what you're saying?
I think if you are not very sure of yourself,
that's it.
I don't know, really, I don't know what is wrong with Pucci, whether it's the management or whether it's the setup there, but it seems to be a killer label. It seems to kill everybody who tries. And I think it's probably maybe because they're being too reverential towards to Emilio in the first place, and of course that's no good. That is absolutely no good.
It's known that the Peter Dundas era worked because people were back buying Pucci because the figures were up. And so Peter, in his own way, he gave Pucci modernity and relevance without being too close to what Emilio was, but not too far either. I mean, far in a way of the design, but not of the meaning. And Peter left to go to Cavalli. They didn't fire Peter Dundas. He left. He went back where he started, and I think, and I understand, and more about this later. So I think they had found, because I think they need someone with expertise and self-assurance not to do this, yet not trying to copy what Emilio Pucci was, because it was so much the 70s. You can't do that anymore, right?
Well, I think that in the case of Peter, he left for reasons we don't know, whether it was internal politics or whether it was just that he felt that he'd gone as far as he wanted to with that particular
He was offered a
label.
brand where he came from.
Well, yes, but we don't quite know what was in his mind,
Okay,
obviously.
yes.
But I do think there's nothing wrong with being influenced by other designers. If we go back to the great period when people were designing for grown-up women and tailoring was the basis of it all, will we ever see tailoring again? I doubt it, but because young kids don't want to wear tailoring, that's the real problem. But you know, people, someone like Givenchy, he was incredibly
Givenchy,
influenced by, yes, the original. He was incredibly influenced by Balenciaga, but their vision is
different, yeah.
You know, everybody had to do a new look. After
There is
Dior.
a dress with
Let me just say
a
this.
spy, which is not influenced.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
It's not influenced by
You're gonna
Christopher
say it's a
Kane.
straightforward
He's
copy.
trying to do the same.
Well, I knew you were going to say
Yeah.
that. Let me just say that Dior produced something so strong in the new look that everybody had to do it. Now, you could say everyone was copying him.
But there were like 5 designers, not 5,000.
Well, true. I agree. I think we don't need to spend any more time on this sad little show.
Well, so let's say that it was a little bit of a
sad
disappointment.
little show. And I wonder if they should just close Pucci and start right from the beginning.
Close or start right from the beginning.
Restart.
So give the name Pucci to anything? Any brand that can be whatever they want to be?
Maybe they want to sell it, you know? I don't know.
Laudomia Pucci is still very involved in Pucci.
That might be the problem.
I love Laudomia. She's a lovely woman.
Yes, but that could be the problem because
She
when you're
holds on to her
carrying,
father's legacy
when
too
you're
much.
carrying a candle for somebody who you love very much, it's not a good thing
Makes
for
sense.
a designer. It's a twisted sort of situation.
I think the drama of Pucci is that they lost Peter Dundas. So I don't know if Mr. Giorgetti will, do something more honest next season. I don't know. Let give him time. I'm the one who says we can't judge someone from their first collection.
Mimma, the one thing one doesn't have in fashion is time, because time, when you're giving time and standing still, you are not making money. And this is what fashion's about. This is the whole raison d'être of fashion now. It is to make money. So there can't be a little
waiting 6 months.
No, you can't have a cooling off. It's not like taking someone off the football pitch and let him sit there until he's cooled down a bit. It's not like that at all. You either do it or you don't do it. Let's look at Cavalli now. Could we look at Cavalli now, do you think?
Same thing. So Peter Dundas, who succeeded so
Peter
well at
Dundas,
Pucci,
yes.
was called back to his origins at Cavalli. We were giving it so much expectation, and here is what we got.
I'll tell you.
So what do you have to say?
Well, I'll say we did have expectations, and he let us down very badly, in my opinion.
Why is
This
it?
is
This is a good designer.
He is a good designer.
What happened to him?
I don't know, but how safe is an aesthetic which does this tie-dye, pink denim? I mean,
The literal 80s?
This
I
is
mean,
deeply worrying when we know the way fashion is at the moment. I thought this was terrible. Second only to, or maybe to be joined together with D squared.
That was as terrible.
D squared was truly.
But let's not take this away
upsetting.
for a second. Let's stay here because I think
Well,
it
there's not much to
deserves.
say.
No, there's not much to say.
It's
But
dreadful, and that's it.
But
you know?
I would like to understand, and of course we don't know, as you said to me before we went live, what goes on in some designer's head. But how can someone who was so refined in what he was doing, because we could like it or not at Pucci, I did like it, he was so refined, do something that is, I'm going to say something that will put me in trouble, but even tackier than Mr. Cavalli himself.
I don't think Cavalli himself, Cavalli wasn't tacky. No, he was like Gianni Versace. He had style to rise above the bad taste.
Oh, I don't think so. I think Gianni Versace did.
Yeah, I'm not talking about.
I wouldn't compare them at the same level.
Oh, I think Cavalli was terrific.
For me, Gianni Versace is untouchable.
You're sounding like a sour-faced English journalist. This is what people on English Vogue say. Oh, that's bad taste.
No, yeah, I don't know.
We need bad taste. Diana
Yes.
Vreeland said that there was nothing wrong with bad taste.
Couldn't agree more.
It was like a little touch of paprika in cooking.
Yeah, but I said tacky. I didn't say bad taste, because bad taste.
Well, I don't
couldn't
know.
agree more.
I don't know what bad taste is if it isn't
Well,
tacky.
I think tacky.
Anyway, what I thought
an
extraordinary was
attitude.
all these funny little half skirts and everything floating around, which they had at D squared. They looked as if they'd been made up that morning at D squared. Someone had said, "Oh, there's something missing."
I wasn't
here.
there, so honestly, I'm
love
happy to have a look. But
those boys have given me many hours of pleasure on the runway. They've done some terrific things, but maybe they're all getting too rich and too. I mean, they now live in London. Is London the right place for a designer of their age and their level to be living? I
why
wouldn't have
not?
thought so.
London is quite free
Because
creatively.
London people don't wear these sort of clothes.
Don't or do?
Don't.
No. But
No.
but this is still, we're still in Cavalli, aren't we? Yes.
Yes.
I
Yeah, we're not
don't
gonna
know. I don't know about this square, but I think what maybe could be interesting here is, don't you think? And I already said that there is a fatigue. There is a fatigue in creativity because there's too much. There are too many stimulations in people's brain. And if you're not Christopher Kane, to mention one again, who is so or for me, Alessandro Michele as well, who's so self-assured, who has this honest point of view, it's very difficult to come out with a collection every 6 months, well, more than every 6 months, and do something that is relevant and
Yeah, well, I think one of the problems
good.
is the pressure on designers is fantastic now. It's terrible. In fact, I think I'd rather see much less, but treated properly. We have too much fashion. You know, I'm going to Paris this afternoon. It'll be one after another. We can't expect it all to be great, or even great as it was great last season. You know, I mean, these are human beings, and I think they're being treated. They're like slaves. You know, it's a sort of
very well paid slaves.
It's sort of yes, but it's sort of like the rape of the innocents. You know, they don't know what they're letting themselves in for, and I think that they get.
Isn't it because they're not good enough, some of them?
I think they're not allowed time to be good enough now.
Okay.
Someone told me, who was it? Someone told me, I may have mentioned this before in previous talks, it really shattered and horrified me that there are designers, named designers, who are responsible for 22 collections a year. I mean, that is a rape. And that is a rape of mentality and creativity. What can you expect? Of course, they're all running around like headless chickens trying to copy the latest new thing.
I know, but and yet there are still people that stand out. I mean, I think Miuccia Prada, he's responsible for a lot, and her collection was mind-blowingly good.
Well, Miuccia Prada.
He was so good. I was sitting there, I was looking around at people's faces, and I was thinking, there's not a single person in this audience, and it was a big audience, you were there too, who, oh sorry, you were not there.
No, I must tell you the story.
Who didn't feel what I was feeling, because when it's perfect, holistically perfect, then that's it.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't see the show.
Okay.
What happened was my driver, who I'd not had before,
Didn't get there on time.
he got terribly caught up in traffic. That was fun. I was perfectly calm. I kept saying to him, don't worry, if we don't make it, I can do the second show. We arrived, and out people came, and here was Claudia, my colleague Claudia from the Sunday Times. And she went, and I said, what time does the second show start?
There's no
She said,
second
there isn't
show.
one. So I went, something I haven't done for ages, I went for a look-see, or whatever they call it.
Reese.
Reese. And it was a revelation.
And
Because
YouTube
people,
wasn't there.
in the interim of missing the show and going the next day to look at it, I'd had so many reports. Some people said, oh, she's lost it. She's finished, she's lost it. Others saying it's consummate. It's the best she's ever done.
Some people say it's
Oh,
not.
yes, quite a lot of the English thought it was terrible. So I went thinking, well, what's it going to be like? And I just thought it was absolutely consummate. She was the Queen of Milan, without a shadow of a doubt.
I felt that she woke up one morning and she said, you know what, all the changes, all the new people, I'm going to show you how it's done. And it was very strange because some of those suits were covered by this kind of a sheer product. Like
Fabrics were amazing.
So they were hidden.
When you look closely at them, they were amazing.
But I mean, the last coats with those paillettes, those sequins, that were almost singing, were mind-blowingly perfect. And so, that's what I'm trying to say. When you're good, you're good. And you're good even if you have a lot to do.
Yes. What I loved also was, if we look at the left-hand side there, that's quite a sophisticated look. The sweater is like a schoolboy's grungy handmade sweater
and the moon
that his
boots,
grandmother made.
the silver moon boots.
Fabulous. This sudden sort of, she subverts it.
I just hope that we will see a little bit more of this in store because I'm so frustrated when I went to the Prada store the other day because I have to have one of those pink suits of last season. You can't find them. The store, they have one, it's sold out, and they show you black trousers, you know what I mean? So I really hope that...
Do you think that's a policy, or is it because they're so expensive to make and take so long?
They're not that expensive. I mean, those suits, they're not cheap, but they're not that expensive compared to, I guess, those coats at the end of this show would be out of this world expensive. Those are suits that, and you can't find it. Or they didn't even, most of stores, they don't even do it in pink.
No.
Why do I want it in blue? I want it in pink.
Well, yes, well, there we are. You'll notice virtually everyone was carrying a bag, a handbag.
Yes.
And this time she's done incredibly bold, striped bags. If this is the bag, they're going down like this, and they're, say, tan, white, black, or whatever, and they look so fresh and so new.
They're
and
so
some
wonderful.
of them are, say, this would be half red, this would be half yellow, and it's almost like racing colours, and they're as shiny as a racing car.
And they go
would be
together.
But men, I said in my piece, certain men could actually carry those.
Oh, absolutely.
Terrific. No, so we love her. We love her boldness. We love her delicacy because she has both, and we love the way
her
she
touch of bad
uses
taste.
fabrics.
She is the
always
master
has.
of that.
Oh, yes.
So to go back to what you were saying, she is the master of that.
Yes,
Sometimes
like those sweaters
there's a
this
touch,
time.
or in the styling,
Yes.
in the whatever,
Yes.
and it's perfection. And another grande dame of Milan, who I thought was going a little bit out of her path, but came back stronger than ever, is
Donatella.
Oh my God!
These are the twin queens of Milan.
Yeah.
I find this really
wrote
interesting
a
because
fantastic show.
it was in a huge. You were there?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
No,
I
it was in
left
a
already,
huge and quite hostile venue.
Oh, really?
Vast, great place. I was told that there were 1,300 people in the audience.
Okay.
I don't know whether
I was
that's
on a
true or
plane
not,
to
but
Los
to
Angeles.
LA, yeah. But, and she did everything she's done before, but differently. Her colours were different, her patterns were different, and I began to think,
And there was no bad taste this time.
oh, no bad taste, no. I don't think she's ever been bad. I worry about people. They have a very odd idea of what taste, good or bad, is. They miss the point frequently. These all began to make me think she has had a huge influence on Christopher Kane, but I believe Christopher Kane and his youth is having an influence on her.
Oh, that is
I don't
so
think,
true.
I
so
don't
smart.
think he's designing it for her or anything like that. I just think she's looking and thinking, yeah, there is a different way of being young, and she's breaking up patterns and things, and
that is the right kind of influence.
she actually sent down flat heels. This is our Donatella.
Yeah.
Flat heels, and they looked totally convincing.
It's so good.
This
it's so
was
fresh. It's so modern.
Yes, fresh, modern,
and
young,
and so
everything.
tailored, because she's showing that you
tailoring
can
at the
do
beginning,
tailoring
the
for
tailoring
young
at the beginning
people.
was
Look at that
absolutely
black
immaculate.
blazer. I mean, and it was good.
Yes.
The materials, the color. It was subdued yet bold. It was.
Yes.
It was very good, and the styling. I mean, I think you're right what you just said about Christopher Kane. But that's the right kind of influence where you admit that maybe you need, you know, some visual help to go on and to evolve. It doesn't mean plagiarism. It doesn't mean copying. It doesn't mean trying to be. This is Donatella Versace, and also she's showing us. Now I show you how to do it.
Do you know what each designer should do? They should all pay a certain amount of money to Christopher Kane, and he would be an emergency ambulance service. They'd say, come and look at the rehearsal. Oh my God, what's wrong with it? And he'd say, well, get rid of that, change that.
So you edit other shows?
You could be a multi-millionaire in no time at all, and wouldn't fashion be better for it? Anyhow, look, even on the pictures, it looks fresh and young.
What was
and
she wearing when she
interesting.
came out? Flats? No, I don't think so.
No, come on, there's a step
There's
too
a
far.
limit.
There's a step too far.
Yeah, there's a limit to Donatella.
She was still number one glamour, absolutely. But I mean, they're lovely, aren't they? And they're new. We haven't seen this sort of
And
approach.
also, it's funny because I probably wouldn't say this is Versace if I didn't know what I'm looking at. And yet, at moments, it's so Versace.
So Versace,
And that is where it's very clever.
Yes. Who else have we got to look at?
She's killing Cavalli here. I mean, she always killed Cavalli, but
Oh,
this
so,
is
I mean,
definitely...
she was always on a higher level
But
than
this is
Cavalli.
definitely...
But I've always liked Cavalli. I like the sort of jokers in the pack. I like Cavalli, I did. And, of course, and I think we're going to disagree on this one, but I love...
You're not going to say Moschino.
I love Jeremy Scott and what he's doing at Moschino.
I'm going to say one thing, and then I give you the floor. I think it's like Donald Trump. It's not even funny anymore. That's what I think. And now you can tell me why did you like this show?
Well, I'm not sure that I've ever laughed at a show, really, or with a show. Humour isn't allowed in fashion because you don't laugh when huge amounts of money are involved, you know. This is all deadly serious. No one does things to laugh at. Maybe
but
they
I don't
do
go to a fashion show
but
to laugh.
What he does is he subverts the whole idea of fashion. This time he had, I must admit, stolen an idea of John's, which was to have a road dug up.
Yes.
John did it years ago with signs and all the rest of it. But look, this fabric in the middle here was a beautiful fabric. It was a fabulous fabric.
Yeah, I hope so. He's Jeremy Scott. So
there
at least
were
he has good
lots
fabric.
of beautiful fabrics. There were very, very good. Like the hats, by the way, I'm just looking to see the hats, which were hard hats with
You
little
received
veils,
it, I guess, right?
little veils, designed by Stephen Jones, and they were so witty and so right. This man is witty. He's super intelligent, and I've talked to him. I've interviewed. I was one of the first people to interview him, actually, because I was led to him by Isabella Blow, who was always able to find people like him. He is more intelligent than most of the English designers put together. He's certainly better educated than any of them I've ever met, any of the young ones. You know, I don't know whether he went to a college or anything, or whether it was from his background, his family background. He is an educated man. He knows what he's sending up. He knows what he's doing. You know, you can talk to him about art. Try that with some of our young hopefuls in England.
No, I agree with this, but I have nothing against, maybe my Trump thing wasn't right because I know he's an intelligent man and I know what he's done in fashion as Jeremy Scott. And I could wear it or not, but I think it has it has a place, and it has done something. I do not like what he does with the Moschino brand, because I'm huge respect for Mr. Moschino himself, what he was, and how he was using words to make fun of fashion and bring humor, and I think it was much deeper than what Jeremy Scott does with Moschino. And B, I'm a little bit tired of wannabe Chanel suit made fun of. You know what I mean? Of course, there are a few things that are nice here, but
well, I think
there's nothing new.
I'm not sure he's necessarily making fun. He's probably saying, well,
is,
you know,
is
there's
Carl
still
loving this?
There's still. I shouldn't think Carl.
I mean, look at the double C
I don't
there in the middle.
Yeah, I don't think Carl would worry about that.
I I'm not sure that all the Chanel
Well,
company
the
does.
Chanel
It's a
company
different
might
thing,
be different, yes. I think that
I think it's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
he had a lot of Doris Day in this.
I like the hair because it's like
There was lots of Doris Day, you know, flouncy skirts and all, but bouncy skirts, which were very sort of 60s, really.
Yeah, but there is too much and too little. It's confused. I don't know. And do you really see, you said that to me when we were discussing Tom Brown. Do you see people wearing this in the street?
Oh, a lot of
Apart
it,
from
yes.
Anna de la Russa?
A lot of it, yes. Yes, certainly.
Do you see it?
Yes, I do. I mean, again, if we look at the top left-hand corner, that dress.
Which one?
This one here.
Yeah, but the people don't see what you say. Which one? The one there now?
It's
the
one.
little dress?
For example, just take it at random. That dress could be worn today, anywhere in the summer.
You can pay.
It's just a dress.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's nice about it. It's so simple. It's just a dress.
Yeah,
But the
which will
fabric
probably
is fabulous. And the cut is very, very good. He does know how to cut. And I take your point about the Chanel suit, but I think he probably thinks Chanel is so pompous, you know, and just wants to...
Yeah, but he's done it. He's done it with McDowell in his first outing for
Moschino. You can still
Moschino.
go on doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, Chanel does, let's be honest.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, so
We'll talk about that
anyway,
next time.
it's a double sort of a double thing. But I think he's also very interested in the new look. He did a lot of new looks at this time. You know, I mean, either you think it's silly or vulgar, or you think it's the result of a divine intervention from on high.
Whoa.
I am in the second.
That's a big statement.
I am in the second.
So you think it's Franco giving him
direction,
notes, whispering things in his ear?
Possibly.
I'm not sure Franco would love it. I mean,
see, if we go back, can we go back just a little?
There are some good things in here, but
yes,
the whole
if we go
thing,
back,
it's... Oh.
These feathers were a marvellous reference to Josephine Baker's famous thing. How many people would understand that?
I think it's so literal. It's not even a reference.
It is a reference because she wasn't as covered as that.
No, I know, but it's so literal. It's so literal. Everybody noticed that, don't you think so?
I don't think so. No, I don't.
Oh, well, I did immediately. So.
I don't think you talk to young people.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's too long ago.
They know very, very, very little, which is one of the great problems because they're the consumers and they don't understand what they're consuming. Who else have we got to look at? Is that it?
I think, yeah.
Oh no, we got D squared.
Dolce Gabbana.
Oh, Dolce. How can we forget Dolce?
We have 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
For a show that lasted about 5 hours. The problem with Dolce Gabbana, it's 100 looks. There is a moment where like, okay, I got it, slow down. It was good though, it was a good show.
Every second was necessary.
Oh really?
I wouldn't
Tell
cut
me
it by a second. Well, first of all, it had exuberance.
Yeah.
It had elan. It had style. And it had some very beautiful clothes.
I agree.
A lot of the clothes were perhaps over-embroidered, but that's
Dolce Gabbana.
No, it's Italy. It was a hymn to the way Italian culture is. You know, big red roses on a black background and everything. You go down into Sicily, there are little ladies still wearing those, you know. And it was...
I think when I say, I made it like a joke, but when I say they should edit a little bit, it's because I also think that they do incredible fashion, but the fact that there's so much they can control the enthusiasm, then there is a little bit of repetition also from the reference to themselves.
Well, what I'm going to say...
And sometimes I'm like, do we really need to see this again?
Well, what I'm going to say is they use their shows, the last one about the Mimma.
Yes.
They use these shows as a sort of, not propaganda, that's the wrong word, but as an advertisement about Italianness.
Values.
Italianness, if there is such a word. You know, look at that black one there. You've seen that 1,000 times in Naples or wherever, you know.
But also in their fashion.
I think that they're saying, this is the country that has made us. This is the country that has made Milan what it is. And it all comes from the south. All of the heart of Italy and the imagination of Italy is in the south, in my opinion. Starts at Rome.
Yeah, the business is in the north and the fantasy is in the south. I agree.
The north produces someone like Armani, who is...
Miuccia as well, though.
But no, she's universal. She's not produced
okay,
by
but
anywhere.
she's Milanese.
And I don't say that about Armani in a nasty way. What I'm saying is he is logical, he's clear, he's probably able to control the whole emotional thing. Whereas here, I mean, how many Sicilian carts have you seen decorated with these sort of things? And I just think how nice it is for them to have a culture as vibrant and warm and alive as this. What have we got in England? What would we put on a runway to personify England in the way that this so perfect? Or Germany, or America.
But that's why Germans make cars more than fashion, right? No, I think this was really a pretty show. I think
It was a lovely
everything
show.
was right and very Dolce & Gabbana and very beautiful and beautifully made. I just would like them to edit a little bit more because again, it's every other month, you know, between seasons and mid-seasons and there is a lot of everything. That I like shows a little bit more edited, a little more focused on one idea. But there's nothing against this. I think it was beautiful. I think it was desirable, and I think it was right for Dolce & Gabbana.
It was full of... It was about La Dolce Vita.
Yeah, but it's always about a Dolce Vita, don't you think
Well,
so?
yes, well, what's wrong with that?
No.
You know?
No, it's just a bit long.
Well, I'm ignoring
You
that. You've
disagree.
said that about 8 times, and I'm not going to be drawn on that.
Well,
It
that's
was
what
not,
I think.
It was not too long. In fact, if anything, I thought it could have gone on even longer. You know.
Okay.
But when you look, it's a bit like Cavalli, except this is much better. These clothes are wearable clothes. Take away all the hugely expensive embroidery and everything, and replace that with print of the same sort of embroidery.
They are totally wearable.
And then they're very wearable, they're very young, and they're very fresh. And I think any woman under 45 certainly would find a lilt in her heart and a skip in her step if she put some of these clothes on.
That's a very nice
And
conclusion.
that's really what fashion's about, is it not?
I think we should conclude by saying that the big ones in Milan came out very strongly, showing us what they can do, and that was a very good surprise. The new things were less incredible than expected, but maybe we should give them some time.
Well, as I said earlier, fashion never gives you time.
Okay, well...
I think that there are one or two who are not going to... Obviously, they won't say go when they've only done one season.
No, exactly.
But they'll already be talking about who's going to take the place of certain people in 3 seasons' time, because that's the way it is now.
Yeah, so on to the next one.
But what I also think we should say is it's very pleasing, not because he's British, it's very pleasing to see the lead being taken by a British designer, in other words, Christopher Kane. I don't mean he's leading everything, but he's up there with the people who count.
We influence.
And that hasn't happened in English fashion for a very long time. And that's great. That's very, very good.
It is.
You know?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.